Hi, my name is Nadya Lutz, and I'm going to share with you some different tips and tricks that I use for kind of connecting the dots with the AO scanner or assembling the puzzle pieces. I like to look at it as a puzzle where I look at a lot of different things and we kind of find some issues. Even though it's not a diagnosing device, it's just educational. There's a lot of information that we can gather and make some lifestyle changes. So let's get started. With all my clients, I definitely look at vitals, body system scans, and depends on the reason for the appointment, but I always try to reduce inflammation because that reduces pain, neurological symptoms, and gut issues. So we optimize the omega-3s, macro, micro minerals, vitamins, amino acids, try to eliminate all toxins because those cause a lot of inflammation. And most importantly, you have to optimize the gut. So you want to poop after every meal, a healthy size poop. And then after I've gone through the vitals and we come up with a plan, then we look at the body system scan. We look at all the different systems and see if I missed anything or if there are other recommendations. But most importantly, that starts to give us some information about the emotions. I'm going to go ahead and go through how I'd approach someone for shoulder pain. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about emotions and how you can actually clear these emotions, not only with the device, but some different techniques. So stay with me here. Then I muscle test for some customized playlists and we do some lifestyle changes. And usually people go off for 3 to 4 weeks, they implement everything, and then we have a follow-up appointment and we kind of go like that. So my remote business has actually expanded quite a bit with the AO scanner. So that's been great. So let's talk about someone real quick with left shoulder pain, okay? Like I said, I look at the vitals, inner voice, comprehensive. I do a partial comprehensive, lifestyle changes. We clear emotion and trauma, and then we run some playlists. We'll dive a little bit deeper. Of course, I could just play an acute pain list. This is kind of my base acute pain. And you can substitute things. So this is kind of, I did it as a joint because possibly it's a shoulder joint, and I put in here twisted joints. But if it was a migraine, you could also put migraine instead of that. So you could substitute out for whatever it is. If it's muscle pain, you would put muscle inflammation. And then depending on where the chakra is and where the trapped emotions are, I would switch out the chakra as well. And you can also look at the vitals to see which chakras were out. Any double reds, I might put that in this acute pain list. Now, this does a great job at reducing pain, I found immediately. But unless you get to the root cause of why the pain is happening, it might, most likely will continue to come back. So let's dive a little deeper. So in vitals, I'm not going to read all this. You can read it, but I'm going to talk about 2 different things. Referred pain is a big thing. So wherever we're feeling the pain, so in this case, the left shoulder was behind the left shoulder blade. That's not necessarily where the main issue is. I always look at the organs that are associated with that according to traditional Chinese medicine. And in this case, it's liver, gallbladder, and or spleen. So I would definitely look at that issue in the vital scan. And there's also another thing, another referred pain that we can talk about more in comprehensive. And again, we spoke a little bit of inflammation. We want to look at all the inflammatory factors on vitals and see if we can go ahead and make changes. Basic physical is also really good. You can see if someone's in fight or flight or more likely to be in fight or flight. You can check on hydration, things like that. And the immune system, of course, that's important as well. So with the comprehensive partial that I like to do, let's just keep with the left arm. I would go through and I would deselect everything on comprehensive partial, and then I would select all these things. Now, if you notice, I'm not going to read all these things, but if you notice, when the muscles in the skeleton, I'm doing both right and left, because like I said, your pain is not necessarily where it's coming from. So a lot of times if someone presents with left shoulder pain, in addition to organ issues and emotions, it can be the opposite shoulder, right? So a lot of time, not just a little bit, but I would always look at the right shoulder as well when I'm looking at partial comprehensive. And then I would always look up the line and down the line. So I would check out the neck, I would check out the elbow, the hand, and in addition, I would check out, it could be the opposing joint, which would be the hip, the right hip. In fact, if it's back here, the opposing part of it would actually be the right hip flexor, right psoas. So I would look at all those details on comprehensive partial as well if we're trying to get to the root of it. Okay, now one of my favorites is the emotional causes and suggestions in the body system scan. I would definitely kind of look at all these different things. We didn't talk a lot about lymph, but that's important as well, because you have all these lymph nodes right here up in the shoulder area and in the hip area. So we'd want to make sure that those are flowing nicely. Maybe they need to do rebounding or different things to increase that lymph or do some massage. And then I would also look at urinary, because that has a lot to do with kidneys. So I would make sure that. So what I'd like you to do now is, if you have your scanner handy and you have not run your body system scan, if you can run it right now, then by the time we get to the hands-on portion of this, you will be able to come up with an emotion that you'd like to release, because at the end, we're going to be all releasing some sort of emotion that shows up on our scan, okay? So I get asked a lot, because this is all great. This is all a little scientific, even though the scanner is woo-woo to some people. But, you're talking in terms of scientific terminology, right? You're talking blood factors and inflammation, all this. Well, when I start talking about emotions, for some people, it's a little bit woo-woo. And so they're like, well, why did it all of a sudden start hurting? So I like to use the analogy of a bucket. We're all walking around with this bucket throughout our day, throughout our lives. And we put all of our stressors in that bucket, and everything from lack of sleep and exercise or not exercising, nutrition, our visual skills, movement patterns. We're putting all of our trauma in there, all our past trauma, our current trauma, physical trauma, and emotional. And another really important thing is, this trauma can be real or perceived, right? So you can put two people in the same situation, and both of them will come out feeling completely different about the situation. One person may experience trauma and another person may not. It can also be a nightmare, which people don't actually think about. But sometimes our brains perceive nightmares as real trauma. So that's something to keep in mind. So even if someone says, I haven't had any trauma, everyone has to some extent, right? It could be unresolved arguments. It could be hurt feelings or words throughout the lifetime. This all goes into the bucket, right? And then all of a sudden you're emptying the dishwasher and a glass slips out of your hand, and it could send you right into fight or flight, and that shoulder pain comes right away. Or someone slams a door or says something hurtful, and the shoulder pain could be instantaneous. And we've kind of known about this for a long time, but we really don't talk about it, right? We have a lot of phrases like the straw that broke the camel's back, the breaking point, the match in the powder bear, or he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. And actually, some of these came back from Greek mythology, so it's been around for quite a while. Now, 99% of the time, I found emotions are one of the root causes of shoulder pain, okay? That's a pretty big number, but that's what I found, unless it's a physical injury. And even if it is a physical injury, that's trauma. So you're always going to have emotions, right? So even if someone fell off a bike, landed on the shoulder, yes, it's a physical trauma, but also that falling, there's some emotional component to that as well. Now, according to New German medicine, usually a shock or betrayal by a family member or close friend is one of the causes of shoulder pain. So you can see here in this iceberg, right? Anger, which is also associated with kidney and it's kind of trapped emotions, frustrated and irritated. You can look below at all the other smaller emotions that are underground and we don't even notice it, right? Because it's hidden, it's under the water, it's trapped in our bodies, overwhelmed, nervous, embarrassed, lonely, insecure, exhausted, hurt, sad, or you're in grief, right? So emotions are a huge component that we have to deal with when we're dealing with any type of pain, any type of disease. It's just really important. So I like to look at body system scan and or inner voice for this because it gives us so much information about our emotions and how we can deal with it. I think we need to step back and talk about resolving emotions. Again, according to New German medicine and some other modalities, all diseases have an on-off switch, right? If you've been diagnosed with a disease or you have pain, most likely your switch is on. You can either resolve that conflict or release the trauma and emotions to turn the switch on, okay? We can't keep stuffing the emotions down, and we're really good at that. We're praised by society for not expressing our emotions, right? We've been taught this at such a young age, even if we have a really supportive family and a family that really tries to talk about things and get emotions out. We're praised for not expressing it, right? It happens in school at such a young age. Kids are praised for sitting there listening and not questioning the teacher most of the time. If we're eating out in restaurants or we're in a public setting, especially if we have grandparents with us, right? They're praised for sitting there nice, eating politely, not speaking, not too loud, right? In church, right? We're definitely praised for being quiet in church. And also when we get physically hurt, right? We kind of don't want our children to cry. We don't want to cry. So, oh, don't cry, don't cry. It's going to be okay. Here, let's look at it, right? No, it's okay to cry. And at work, definitely most work situations, it's not okay to express our emotions, right? And in some cultures, even funerals, you're praised for being stoic and not crying, which is outrageous because if you're at a funeral, most likely you are experiencing grief. So I do think as a society, we need to learn to express our emotions, because if not, we just keep stuffing them down and they get trapped. And then the next emotion comes on, and it gets trapped and it gets trapped and it gets trapped. And then before you know it, you have this heart wall and it festers. So it's really easy to flip the switch for trapped emotions. I do a lot of different modalities that does this. And we are going to talk about one, and I'm going to teach you how to do it so you can do it for yourself and then teach other people as well. Let's go ahead and open up your body system scan report. So it's ready by the time we get it. You can just click on open and you can listen here, and then I'll tell you when you can look at it, or you need to look at it. You can look at it if you want. I'm going to use the body system scan as an example. And we're going to look for emotions that ring true. Maybe even multiple emotions show up. Okay. So for this person with the left shoulder pain, suppressed feelings came up a number of times. I think it was 3 times. And then we talked a little bit. I'm like, does that ring true? And like, oh yeah, just had the holidays. I had to keep a lid on it. I couldn't speak my mind. I had to be nice, even though, in-laws were not being so nice. So then we started talking, suppressed feelings. Okay, let's turn that into a positive affirmation, right? And we talked through this and we said, it's safe and easy for me to express my feelings. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you come up with positive affirmations and the best way to do it. They should be in present tense, right? So it's I am loved. It's not I will be loved. Big difference. I am. You're already saying it's true. It should be positive and not include the negative emotion. This is the most common thing when people are setting affirmations, right? So it would be I am happy, not I will not be depressed, right? I am happy. You say what you want to be. I am relaxed, not I am stress-free. Stress, we don't want stress. So we're not going to include it in our affirmation. Our affirmation is something that we want to come true, that will come true, right? Short and simple is usually best. Our subconscious likes a simple affirmation to go ahead and imprint, right? So I am loved is better than I am the most loving person in the world. Okay. And then before you do this, it's also important to ask if it's safe and effective for you to reset this affirmation, because our emotions are kind of like an onion and we have many different layers in it. So maybe you can't do that right now. Maybe you need to peel off a few of the other issues before you can release the suppressed emotions. So if you know how to muscle test, you can do that. You can also just trust your gut, right? You can just ask a simple question. Is it safe for me to release this emotion right now? And if you get a good feeling, you can try it. If not, chances are if it's not safe, your body won't allow it to happen anyway. So I'd like you to look at your body system scan, and I'd like you to scroll down and look at some of the feelings and just pick one that rings true to you. And go ahead and it's okay if it's not the most important one, just go ahead and pick one and take a second and put it into a positive intention or a positive affirmation. Remember, it usually starts with I am, or it's easy for me, something in the present tense. It's positive and it doesn't include any of the negative words. Now, while we're doing this resetting the intention or affirmation. Sometimes you're sitting there, because I'm going to have you put you into this position. You're going to be sitting there for a little bit and you're repeating this silently to yourself. Sometimes when that happens, you actually change your affirmation. You're like, oh, wait a minute, this is better. This rings more true to me. And that's perfectly okay to change it in the middle. Okay. So the position we're going to get into is you're going to either sit or stand. You're going to get into the hookup position. So you're going to cross your hands. You're going to interlock your fingers and you're going to bring your arms in towards your chest. Now you're going to look at what's on top. So my left arm is on top. So I'm going to cross my legs just like in the picture where my opposite ankle is on top. And it's okay if it's not just have the opposite one on top. Okay. I'll talk you through it. Okay. You're going to sit up tall. You're going to close your eyes and you're silently going to repeat your affirmation until you feel a shift. So for my client, it's safe and easy for me to express my feelings. And you just keep silently repeating your affirmation and relax your shoulders and breathe. Try to relax everything and keep repeating your affirmation. We'll give it a few seconds here. Sometimes that shift may be 2 to 3 minutes. We're not going to wait that long on this call, but you can always redo this. Okay. So just keep repeating that affirmation and breathe deeply. Breathe in the nose and breathe out the nose. Relax. And breathe in and breathe out. Now you would hold this until you did feel a shift in your body. And again, that could be several minutes. Okay. But for our purposes, you're going to go ahead and uncross it. And you're going to put your opposite arm on top. You're going to put your opposite ankle on top and you're going to come back to that position. You're going to sit up tall or stand tall, close your eyes, and we're going to do the same thing. You're going to focus on your breathing and relaxing, and you're going to repeat your affirmation. It's perfectly normal for feelings to come up as you're doing this, and you might actually remember certain events, and that's great. Sometimes people are like, oh, geez, I didn't even think of that. And it just popped in my head. That was when I was 4, 5. So just keep repeating the affirmation. Breathe in the nose and breathe out. One more time, breathe in and let it go. So we're going to uncross our hands, uncross our feet, bring our fingertips together, kind of in a steeple situation. And your head is up tall, but your eyes are going to be focused on your hands for 10 seconds, just to kind of set the intention in. And just keep breathing deeply. Try to remain shoulders relaxed and sitting up tall. Deep breath in and out. Good. So it's really as simple as that for one of the techniques I use. I'd like you to go ahead and try this on your body system scan and see how it goes. Send me a message, and if you have good results, really prepared to be amazed, because with the combination of your Cephis, right, you can now go and you can look up some of the affirmations, you can look up quantum reach, aura building, all your chakras, and you can get that puzzle piece and click it in, and I think you're going to be pretty amazed at the effects. So, do you want another amazing playlist? I bet you do. This is also one of my favorite things. This is my base energy clearing playlist. All my playlists are based. It's not set in stone, right? So I like to do this in between my clients. Sometimes I imprint it in the studio, imprint it in me. I love to do grounding, concentration, German finish. But let's say that I was really low energy this day. So maybe I would switch out one of these for energy boost, right? Sometimes if your brain's a little fuzzy, maybe I put in perfect recall here. And then I end with energetic shield. You want to stay well hydrated while you're doing energy work. I think everyone knows that. Another way I clear my energy in between clients is I wash my hands in cold water, or you flick your fingers afterwards, or you can clap your hands. I also, if I have time in between clients, I like to walk outside barefoot if possible. It's a little cold right now, or stand on a grounding mat. Just being out in nature really helps a lot. Okay, I'm going to end with something that I've been working with a lot, and that's helping people with animal trauma. I started with, my mother passed away about a year ago, and we inherited her dog, who was her right hand. They spent 24/7 together. So I had to release a lot of emotions for Carly. And this was kind of my animal trauma playlist. Again, right? You may have to change this up, but this is a nice space. So with her, I would run vitals on her and I would play the playlist above. And I would also do energy work on the chakras and meridians that were out for her, right? So I would practice some energy techniques. Now, you can do these same intentions for your pets, okay? What you do is you would take your hand either touching right on their nose or hovering, and you would go back to their shoulders, right? And I find with animals that have been adopted and have come with some sort of trauma, these intentions are really, really powerful. You are loved, you are safe, you are amazing, you are wanted, right? They've been through a lot of trauma. So it would be, you are loved, you are loved, you are loved, right over their governing meridian, whatever affirmation you'd like to say to them. And you'll find that you can visibly see them just relax. And sometimes they go, and shudder a little bit or sigh. So sometimes I work remotely with animal trauma. And then when I get to meet the animals, it's almost like they know. They just come right over, they nuzzle me, and my hand just goes right to their head. And that's what they're doing. They come up. So it's really fun to work on animals because it's not a placebo effect. You can see a difference immediately, right away, both in physical trauma and emotional trauma. So have fun with that. Maybe you can help out some friends who have some adopted pets that have some issues, whether it's chewing or tearing things up or barking or lunging at dogs or something like that, because this really works. So just remember, you just kind of go right over their governing meridian, and it helps them a lot. So in conclusion, obviously I love AO Scan. It's an amazing educational tool. And I really think if we dive a little deeper into the emotional component, that the results you have are going to be they're going to go through the roof. So I really hope you enjoyed this and enjoy working on some emotions. Have a good day.